My ethical AI experiment. English learning journey began as a simple idea that slowly grew into a structured and meaningful project. I wanted to understand how artificial intelligence could support language learning while also ensuring that I used it in a responsible and ethical way. Many learners use technology without thinking about its deeper impact, but I wanted to approach it with awareness and intention. I decided to spend several weeks using artificial intelligence tools as my primary method for improving my English skills. The goal was not only to make progress in speaking, writing, and comprehension, but also to observe how ethical design and responsible use could influence the entire experience. At the start of the experiment, I established clear rules. First, I would allow artificial intelligence to assist me, but I would not depend on it completely. Second, I would evaluate every suggestion critically instead of accepting everything automatically. Third, I would reflect daily on whether my interactions with artificial intelligence helped me grow or made me passive. I wanted my learning journey to be active and self-directed, not controlled by the technology. During the first week, I focused on reading practice. I asked artificial intelligence to generate short articles about topics that I cared about, such as technology, travel, and culture. I then rewrote these articles in my own words, using artificial intelligence only for feedback. This pushed me to think carefully and to build my own voice. It also made me understand how important it is to maintain originality. Artificial intelligence can provide structure, but it should not replace personal thought. I began to see how ethical principles like transparency, responsibility, and fairness could influence even simple exercises. In the second phase of my ethical AI experiment, I shifted my focus toward speaking and listening improvement. I used synthetic dialogue practice sessions to simulate real conversations. Instead of relying on artificial intelligence to predict or control my responses, I created my own answers and asked for evaluations afterward. This method helped me grow more confident in forming sentences naturally and speaking without hesitation. I also listened to audio explanations about different grammar topics and repeated them aloud. I noticed that artificial intelligence tools provided clear and structured explanations, but I needed to remain mindful about verifying accuracy and avoiding blind trust. A major part of this experiment was evaluating the ethical dimension of learning. Artificial intelligence has the power to guide learners, but it can also influence them too strongly if they stop questioning information. I wanted to avoid that risk. Therefore, I compared artificial intelligence explanations with reliable human-written sources. Whenever there were differences, I studied them carefully and learned even more. This practice helped me develop critical thinking and reminded me that technology should complement human effort, not direct it. Another essential lesson appeared during the second phase. Artificial intelligence does not judge or laugh, which makes it easier for language learners to practice without fear. However, I realized that too much comfort can sometimes slow progress. Real communication involves unpredictability and emotional expression. To stay balanced, I combined artificial intelligence conversation sessions with real-world interactions. Ethical learning means seeking healthy limits and avoiding dependency. My goal was to use technology as a supportive companion, not as a replacement for genuine human experiences. The final phase of my ethical AI experiment focused on writing improvement and reflection. I wrote long paragraphs about daily events, personal opinions, and abstract ideas. Then I asked artificial intelligence for suggestions, but I always kept control of the final version. This made me more aware of my writing style, common mistakes, and natural phrasing. I learned that artificial intelligence can enhance clarity when used correctly, but it can also weaken creativity if the user accepts every change without review. Ethical learning requires the learner to take responsibility for every decision. I also reflected on how artificial intelligence affects motivation. I observed that consistent feedback increased my desire to keep learning, but I needed to stay conscious of the emotional influence of praise and correction. Technology should not replace self-discipline or self-confidence. Instead, it should support the learner in developing those qualities independently. Through careful use, I built a healthy relationship with the tool and with my own learning process. At the end of the journey, I realized that my ethical AI experiment was not only about improving English. It was about understanding myself and the role of technology in my life. Artificial intelligence is powerful, but it requires thoughtful use. Through this experiment, I learned to question information, to protect my creativity, and to remain responsible for my growth. The experience showed me that ethical learning is not simply a rule, but a mindset that shapes every step of my language journey.